hunted in the shadows. The sky over Virac 9 was no longer just dark. It watched. Jace didn't know how, but he could feel it. The air had changed. Every street lamp flickered like it was blinking at him. Every camera eye followed his steps a little, too long. Every shadow whispered his name. He clutched the golden thread in his pocket, fingers trembling. It felt warm again. Alive. It's just junk, he whispered to himself. But he was lying. He knew it wasn't. Ever since the beggar woman touched him, nothing had felt normal. His wrist still pulsed under the cloth wrap. Soft golden light, flashing like a warning. But a warning for what? That answer came too soon. As Jace stepped into the old salvage yard to look for scrap, he noticed something wrong. The wind was too still. The machines, silent. Even the junk rats were gone. He turned toward the gate. Locked. And then, footsteps. Not normal footsteps. These were heavy, slow. Metal boots. Jace crouched behind a broken shuttle, heart pounding. Through the cracks he saw them. 3 tall figures in black armor. No faces, just smooth helmets and red lights across their chests. They were hunters, not city guards, not police. Empire-class bounty units. One of them scanned the air with a strange device. Human signature detected. A robotic voice said. Jace's breath caught. They're here for me. He crept through the junk piles, trying not to make a sound. But the hunters were smart. One moved to block the exit, another climbed the scrap towers, scanning from above, and the third, he disappeared from sight. Jace crawled fast, slipping under a rusted hover cart. He reached for a loose metal rod, just in case. Suddenly, a voice behind him. Stay down, boy. Jace spun around, swinging the rod. A hand caught it. It was the cloaked man, the one who'd been watching him for days. But now, he wasn't hiding, anymore. Under the hood was a half-metal face, one glowing blue eye and deep scars. I'm not your enemy, he said calmly. Name's Tarn. I served her once, before the Empire burned it all. Jace stared at him, still breathing hard. You mean her? The beggar? She was no beggar, Tarn replied. You already know that. That mark on your wrist, it's royal. Jace looked down. The cloth was glowing. Soft gold. Warmer now. She marked you, Tarn said. That bond is older than the Empire itself. Jace's mind spun. Why me? Because you gave kindness without fear, Tarn said. Because you didn't see a queen, you saw someone hungry, that is power. Suddenly, a crash. One of the hunters had found them. Go, Tarn shouted, throwing a smoke bomb at the ground. Smoke hissed and filled the air. They ran. Through underground tunnels, old service pipes, and forgotten paths, Tarn led him away. They're tracking the bond now, Tarn said. They know what it is. They know what you are. What I am, Jace said. I'm just a street rat. No, Tarn said. You're a symbol now. And symbols can start wars. At last, they reached an old lift shaft. The walls were cracked and moss-covered, but Tarn pressed a hidden panel and the door groaned open. This leads to the lower vaults, Tarn said. The queen is waiting. Jace stepped inside, still gripping the thread, still thinking of her, golden eyes. As the lift shook and started to descend, Tarn whispered, The Empire thinks she's dead. That was their first mistake. He turned to Jace, eye glowing brighter now. The second was letting you live. High above them, inside, a black tower, the false emperor, stood before a holomap. He pointed to a blinking dot moving through the tunnels. Find the boy, he growled, and burn everything around him. His hunter unit saluted and vanished into the dark. Jace walked through the back streets with his hood low and his heart beating fast. Every corner he turned, he heard the same name passed between lips like a secret. She's back. The lost queen. A human boy gave her food. He heard it from drunken merchants, from quiet servants, from alien workers unloading cargo crates. The city was buzzing. But not with machines. With rumors. At a dusty market stall, two Talari nobles sipped glowing drinks and spoke in low voices. Golden eyes, one said. That's how they knew. Old blood, the other whispered. Royal blood, hidden in rags, fed by a human rat. They both laughed nervously. Then one leaned closer. If she's really back, we are in trouble. Jace stood nearby, pretending to look at spare wires, but his ears burned. They're talking about her and me. He looked down at his wrist. The cloth wrap hid the glowing mark, but he could still feel it under his skin, warm, alive. He didn't know how to feel. Scared? Proud? Confused? Maybe all three. Later that evening, Jace returned to the old scrapyard where he first met Tarn, the half-metal stranger who claimed to be her guard. Tarn was waiting, sitting on a broken engine block. You feel it, don't you? Tarn asked without looking up. The weight of it, the fear in their voices. Jace sat beside him. They know something's happening. I hear my name in places I've never even been. That's how revolutions start, Tarn said. Not with guns, with whispers. Jace looked at him. You still haven't told me why she was hiding, why she became a beggar. Tarn nodded. Long ago, Sarah Veltra was the crown princess of the Thalari Empire, but her own uncle betrayed her, took her throne and told the galaxy she was dead. Jace blinked. Why didn't she fight back? She was just a girl, Tarn said quietly. One who trusted the wrong people. The Empire burned her name, destroyed her symbols, and erased her from history. She went underground, and for years we all believed she was gone. He turned to Jace. Until you gave her food. That night, in a smoky tavern deep in the underworld, the rumors turned to fear. She's alive, a shadowed figure said. I saw her with my own eyes, another said. She walked like a queen, even in rags. A third leaned forward. And the human? The boy? They say he carries the flame mark, that the throne itself touched him. Silence fell. Then the barkeep said, if that's true, the Emperor will hunt them both. And in the darkest corner a cold voice replied, then let him try. Jace couldn't sleep. He lay in a small storage room, his back against old crates, his eyes wide open. Every time he closed them, he saw her face again. Not the dirty face of a beggar, but the glowing eyes of a queen. Why me? He whispered. I'm nothing special. The golden thread lay in his hand. It pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. Suddenly a soft noise echoed outside. A whisper. A footstep. Jace sat up. Someone was nearby. He grabbed a rusted pipe and stepped outside quietly. A figure stood in the shadows. Jace raised the pipe. Who are you? The figure stepped forward, tall, cloaked, and graceful. I thought you'd be asleep, she said, softly. Jace froze. He knew that voice. She removed her hood. Sarah Veltra stood before him, not in rags this time, but in dark robes covered in golden symbols. Her skin was clean. Her hair was tied back. Her eyes, still golden, looked stronger. Now you, Jace whispered. You really are her. She smiled. You believed it before anyone else. That's why I'm here. They sat together in the dark. She told him about her past, about the throne, the betrayal, the pain, the loneliness. But I never forgot, she said. Not the people, not the promise. She looked at his wrist. And not the bond. Jace pulled back the cloth. The mark was brighter now. Golden veins spread across his arm. What is it doing to me? He asked. It's not hurting you, Sarah said. It's awakening you. Suddenly Tarn burst in, breathless. They're coming, he said. The Emperor's guards, dozens of them. They tracked your mark. Jace stood. Then what do we do? Sarah's eyes burned like fire. We don't run anymore. We rise. The tunnels under Verac 9 were cold, old, and full of silence. Jace followed behind Sarah and Tarn as they moved deeper into the forgotten paths. Their footsteps echoed off the walls. Broken lights flickered above. Strange carvings glowed faintly on the stone. Jace's wrist was still glowing. The golden mark burned brighter the deeper they went. He didn't ask questions. He just followed. But his heart was full of them. What is this place? Why me? Why does the mark feel alive? Sarah finally stopped in front of a heavy door. It was made of crystal and stone, covered in strange symbols that moved like they were breathing. "This is the heart chamber," she said. "Only one with the royal mark can enter." Tarn nodded. "It hasn't been opened in over 200 years. Jace stepped closer. The mark on his wrist began to shine like fire. Suddenly, the door groaned and opened by itself. Inside, the chamber was beautiful. Walls of shining crystal reflected golden light. Symbols floated in the air like stars. In the center stood a small throne made of stone and light. Above it, a glowing ring of words spun slowly. "This is where it all began," Sarah said softly, "where the old bloodline was blessed by the throne." Jace stepped forward, his eyes wide. He had never seen anything so peaceful, or so powerful. "This place," Tarn said, "was built by Sarah's ancestors. The energy here remembers her." "And now it remembers you," Jace turned. "But why me?" Sarah looked at him. "Because the throne chooses kindness. You gave it freely. You gave food to a beggar. No crown, no reward. Just a warm hand. That is what the Empire fears." Suddenly, the ring above the throne stopped spinning. It flashed gold, then dimmed. Deep voice echoed through the chamber. "Trial begins." The light in the room dimmed. The air grew heavy. Jace looked at Sarah, confused. "Trial?" She nodded. "To carry the mark, you must face truth." Tarn handed him a black cube. "This reads your memories," he explained. "It will show you your past. It cannot lie." Jace swallowed hard. "I don't want to see my past." "You must," Sarah said. "It's the only way." Jace took the cube with shaking hands and placed it on his forehead. In a flash, Jace was standing inside his own memories. He saw himself as a small boy, cold and alone, in a dark alley. He saw the day his parents left him behind on another planet. He saw alien guards laughing as he begged for food. He saw the hunger, the fear, the nights he cried in silence. Then he saw the moment. Her. The beggar woman sitting in the dark corner, his own hand offering food. And one more memory, a moment he had forgotten. He saw himself walking past a child, crying for help. He didn't stop, he was scared, hungry. He kept walking, tears filled his eyes. "I wasn't always good," he whispered. "Sometimes I failed." A deep voice asked, "Do you accept your past?" Jace took a deep breath. "Yes." Suddenly, golden light poured out from the cube. The mark on his wrist blazed like fire. The light flowed to his chest and across his arm. The voice returned. "Truth accepted." Sarah smiled. "You passed." Jace dropped to his knees, exhausted. "I didn't know it would hurt like that," he said. Sarah helped him up. "Truth always hurts, but it also heals." Suddenly the chamber shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Tarn rushed to the entrance. "They found us." Sarah turned to Jace. "You are no longer just a boy. You carry the Queen's mark now. The throne knows you." Jace stood straight, still glowing. "Then I'll help you fight." Sarah gave him a nod. "We move to the next trial. But first, we escape." They ran through the tunnels as alarms rang in the distance. Hunter guards entered the outer paths. Drones flew through vents, scanning for heat and sound. In the shadows, one hunter paused. His helmet glowed red. "She has awakened the chamber," he whispered into his communicator. The human boy passed the trial. Back in the Golden Tower, the false emperor smashed his fist on the table. "Stop them now," he shouted, "before the next trial begins." But it was too late. Jace, Sarah, and Tarn reached the next gate. It was made of smooth stone with 2 cups on a glowing table. One cup was filled with golden light. The other was dark and thick like oil. Sarah read the words floating above the table. Only one must drink. One will grow stronger. One will suffer. Choose. She reached for the dark cup. Jay stopped her. No, he said. You're the queen. The people need you. I'll drink it. She shook her head. And what if it kills you? Then I'll die for the one who saved me. They stared at each other. Then together, they lifted both cups. They drank. The room exploded in light. A voice echoed, "You chose to share the cost." "The throne remembers," Jace gasped, but there was no pain, only warmth. Sarah looked at him, her eyes glowing. "You are not just marked," she said. "You are now bonded." Jace didn't understand it all, but he knew one thing. He wasn't alone anymore. The stars above Virac 9 blinked through a thin cloud of smoke. Down below in the quiet junkyard, all was still. The metal piles sat like sleeping giants. Broken ships, rusted machines, and forgotten tech stretched as far as the eye could see. Jace crouched behind a broken cargo hauler. He could feel the cold dirt under his hands. His wrist glowed faintly under his sleeve. The golden thread Sarah gave him was tied around his neck now, hidden beneath his shirt. Beside him, Tarn checked a small round scanner. The blue light on it blinked faster and faster. "They're close," Tarn said quietly. "Too close." Jace nodded. "You think they followed us from the tunnels?" "They followed the mark," Tarn replied. "And you carry it now." Jace swallowed hard. "So this is my fault." Tarn looked at him with his one glowing blue eye. "No, it's their fault for fearing truth." Then the wind changed. A low humming filled the air. Drones. They came fast, dozens of small flying machines with red scanning eyes. They shot through the sky like insects circling above the junkyard. "Cover your head," Tarn said. Jace ducked as a loudspeaker cracked through the air. "This area is under lockdown by order of the Emperor. Human target. Surrender." Jace's heart pounded. "They know I'm here." Tarn reached into his coat and handed Jace a small metal disc. "What is this?" Jace asked. "A shield drone," Tarn said. "Throw it at the ground when I say, 'Now move.'" They ran. The drones fired, bright, red lasers cutting through the night. Jace dove behind a metal tower as sparks flew over his head. Tarn ducked behind a transport engine. "Now!" Tarn shouted. Jace threw the disc. It hit the dirt and burst into light. A glowing shield spread out in a circle, blocking the lasers. They had only seconds. From the far side of the junkyard, soldiers, in black armor, entered. Their faces were covered. Their rifles glowed with plasma energy. They moved like shadows, silent and deadly. Jace could see their leader, a tall figure in red-trimmed armor. His helmet had 3 glowing slits like eyes. Tarn whispered, "That's General Koresh, the Emperor's personal hunter." Jace froze. "He's real?" "Oh, he's real," Tarn said, "and he kills without mercy." Jace looked down at his glowing wrist. "We're not ready for this." "No one ever is," Tarn said, and pulled out 2 small blasters. Jace stared. "Wait, you didn't tell me you had those," Tarn smirked. "You didn't ask." Suddenly the shield failed. Lasers cut through the air again. Tarn fired back. Blue blasts hit 2 drones, sending them crashing to the ground. Jace grabbed a rusted pipe and swung it at a drone that flew too close. The pipe hit hard and the drone exploded. He gasped. "I actually hit it." Then something moved above him. Koresh had climbed one of the junk towers. He stood tall, looking down at the boy. "So," he said, voice deep and cold, "you're the human." Jace looked up, eyes wide. "You fed a beggar," Koresh said. "How noble. How useless." Jace stepped forward. "You're just afraid. Afraid of what she is. Afraid of what I might become." Koresh laughed. "You'll become ash." He jumped from the tower, landing with a crash. The ground shook. Sparks flew. Tarn fired both blasters, but Koresh blocked the blasts with a glowing shield. Then he struck. Tarn flew backward, slammed into a wall of metal. He hit the ground and didn't get up. "No!" Jace shouted. Koresh turned toward him. "You have something that belongs to the crown," Koresh said. "Give it back." Jace backed away. His wrist was glowing like fire now. It burned, but it also gave him strength. "I can't give it back," Jace said. "It chose me." Koresh raised his blade. "Then die with it." But before he could strike, golden light exploded across the sky. A blast of energy knocked Koresh backward. Sarah landed between them, her cloak flying like wings. Her staff glowed like a small sun. "Enough," she said. Koresh stood up, armor smoking. "You're alive?" "You sound disappointed," Sarah replied. Koresh laughed. "You think this boy will save you?" Sarah pointed her staff. "He already did." They fought, flashes of gold and red filling the night. Sarah moved with grace and power. Koresh fought like a machine, strong and cruel. Jace crawled to Tarn. "Wake up," he whispered. "Please." Tarn groaned. "Not dead yet, but close." He handed Jace a small device. "A memory key," he said. "Has everything, proof of betrayal, her bloodline. Give it to the world." Jace took it, shaking. "But I don't know how." "You will," Tarn whispered and passed out. Sarah screamed as Koresh struck her across the chest. She fell to one knee. Jace looked at the device, then at the old junk tower nearby. It still had a working signal booster. "I have to try." He ran. Koresh noticed too late. Jace reached the tower, slammed the device into the control panel. Screens across. Varric 9 lit up. Images of Sarah as a child. Documents of betrayal. A royal seal. The truth. The people saw it. The guards saw it. Even the nobles saw it. The city gasped. Back at the junkyard, Koresh stepped back, shaken. His soldiers paused. Their leader, exposed. Sarah rose, eyes burning with light. "It's over." She struck the ground. The junkyard shook. The soldiers fled. Koresh vanished into smoke. Jace ran back to her, breathing hard. "You did it," she said. "No," Jace replied, smiling. "We did." The message had already spread like wildfire. Across Virac 9, every screen glowed with the same image. Queen Sarah. Veltra standing proud beside a human boy, Jace with the mark of the throne glowing on his wrist. The people froze. Nobles stared. Soldiers lowered their weapons in shock. And in the darkest corners of the city, hope lit up. Jace and Sarah stood near the ruins of the junkyard, wind blowing through broken metal and ash. Tarn lay beside them, wounded but alive. He opened one eye and smiled weakly. "You did it," he whispered. "The people saw." Jace nodded. They saw her. They saw the truth. Sarah stood tall. Her cloak fluttered in the dusty air. Her golden eyes burned with power. "I was a ghost," she said. "Now I return." Jace looked up at her. "They'll come for us, won't they?" Sarah nodded. "They'll come with fire. But now, we're not alone." In the palace above, the false emperor roared in anger. He smashed a glass and shouted, "The people believe her!" An advisor trembled nearby. "Orders, my lord?" "Send the shadow blades. Send everything. Burn her name out of history." In the underground rebel district, leaders gathered around flickering screens. "She's alive," one whispered. "And a human stands beside her," another said. A third slammed his fist on the table. "It's time." They sent out the signal. All over the city, hidden fighters woke up. Old banners were pulled from hiding places. Messages were painted on walls. "She lives. The crown remembers." Sarah led Jace and Tarn through the lower tunnels to an old chamber. Inside, walls were covered in crystal and light. It had once been a command room for the royal family. "This place was forgotten," Sarah said. "But it still listens to me." She placed her staff in the center and the room lit up. Jace looked around. "What now?" Sarah turned to him. Now we speak to the people. She stepped onto a small platform. A floating orb rose before her, blinking with light. It was a direct link to every public screen in the city. Are you ready? Jace asked. Sarah smiled. I have been waiting years. The orb blinked red. Live. Her face appeared on screens across Virac 9. In homes, in streets, in factories, in slave quarters, everyone watched. I am Sarah Veltra, she said. Once your queen, then your ghost. But today, I stand not as a ruler but as a voice. She paused, looking into the camera. I was hunted, betrayed, left to die. But one boy, a human, saw me. He gave me food when I had nothing. He gave me kindness when I had no name. The camera turned slightly, showing Jace beside her. His wrist still glowed with the royal mark. This is Jace, she said. He is not of noble blood. He is not a soldier. But he is brave. And because of him, I return. The streets of Virac 9 exploded with noise. Cheers, shouts, and cries filled the air. Old rebels raised their fists. Slaves dropped their tools and wept. Children pointed at the screens, eyes wide with wonder. One small girl in the slums looked up at her brother. She's real, she whispered, and the boy nodded. She walks with a human. In the shadows of the palace, General Karish listened to the speech. His armor was still scorched from the fight at the junkyard. He clenched his fist. She thinks she's safe, he growled. But her hope is a candle, and I will blow it out. He turned to his elite assassins, the Shadow Blades. Find her. Kill the boy. End this story. Back in the chamber, Sarah turned to Jace as the broadcast ended. You did well, she said. Jace shrugged. I just stood there. Sarah shook her head. No, you stood beside me. That's what they needed to see. Suddenly Tarn sat up with a groan. We have a problem, he said. The Shadow Blades are coming fast. Jace frowned. What are those? Assassins, Tarn said. They kill quietly. They never miss. Sarah's eyes turned cold. They'll learn that this queen does not hide anymore. The team moved quickly. They climbed up through forgotten shafts and broken elevators. They passed through ruined towers and old temples until they reached the sky balcony, a large open platform once used for royal speeches. Sarah stepped into the open air. Below them, the city was changing. Flags flew from windows. Crowds gathered. In the old squares, even the air felt different, charged with hope. Jace looked over the edge. So many people. They're waiting, Sarah said. For what? She smiled. A spark. Suddenly the wind shifted. A sharp sound. Click. Jace turned. Too late. A sniper fired from a rooftop. Sarah saw the flash. Jace! He didn't think. He jumped. The energy bolt hit his shoulder. He dropped to the ground, gasping. Sarah screamed. She knelt beside him. No, she whispered. Not you. Jace looked up, pain in his face. Worth it. She placed both hands over his wound. Her golden light poured into him. The mark on his wrist flared. His body glowed. The sky itself seemed to respond. A wave of energy burst out from the platform. Every screen in the city flashed. One word, return. The throne's power had awakened, and the queen had truly returned. The light faded slowly from Jace's body. He sat on the sky balcony, holding his shoulder where the sniper blast had hit him. The pain was fading now, replaced by something strange, something warm. Sarah stood beside him, her hands still glowing. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of fire. You should have died, she whispered. Jace gave a weak smile. I get that a lot. The city below them was loud. People shouted her name. Flags flew. Hope rose. But deep in Sarah's mind, a question burned like a flame. Would hope be enough? Later that night, inside an ancient temple buried deep under the city, Sarah stood before a glowing door. Symbols moved slowly across its surface like smoke in the wind. Jace stood behind her, his shoulder wrapped in cloth. He looked tired, but ready. Tarn limped beside them, still recovering from his wounds. He leaned on a metal cane. "This place," Sarah said softly, "has not been opened in over 2 centuries. Jace raised an eyebrow. "Is it locked?" Sarah shook her head. "It's waiting." She placed her palm on the door. A golden symbol lit up beneath her hand. The door groaned and opened, revealing a long staircase that led downward into golden light. "Where does it lead?" Jace asked. Sarah looked at him. "To the first trial, the trial of truth." The staircase felt endless. As they walked, no one spoke. The air was heavy. Jace's heart beat faster with each step. Finally, they reached a chamber carved from glowing crystal. Statues of old queens lined the walls. At the center of the room was a giant mirror, shaped like an eye. Behind it, wrapped around the mirror, was a creature of pure shadow. It was massive, like a sleeping dragon made from darkness and smoke. Jace took a step back. "That thing, what is it?" Sarah's voice was calm. "The beast of truth," Tarn whispered. "It will not attack, unless you lie." The beast stirred. Its silver eyes opened slowly. The room dimmed. Then the beast spoke, not with a voice but inside their minds. "Step forward, human soul." Jace took a shaky breath. His legs felt weak, but he walked to the mirror. "I will show you who you are," the beast said. The mirror lit up. At first, Jace saw his own face. Then it changed. He saw himself stealing food. He saw himself pushing another boy out of the way. He saw himself ignoring a sick alien child crying in the street. His hand shook. I didn't mean to. I was just scared." The beast's voice echoed again. "Do you own your past?" Jace closed his eyes. He took a deep breath. "Yes," he whispered. "I do." Silence. Then the mirror faded. The beast's silver eyes blinked. "You have accepted your truth." Sarah smiled softly. He passed. The beast turned slowly. "Now you, lost royal. Will you face what you did?" Sarah stepped forward without fear. The mirror showed her, young, proud, standing before a crowd. Then it changed. It showed her leading soldiers, burning cities, ignoring refugees. Then the worst part. She turned her back as people begged for help. She ran. A single tear rolled down Sarah's cheek. "I was afraid. I was selfish. But I've returned to fix it." The beast was silent. Then it uncoiled from the mirror. A path opened behind it, glowing steps made from white crystal. "You may pass. But truth is easy. Sacrifice is not." Jace followed Sarah up the steps into a new room. This one was quiet, simple. A round table stood at the center. On it, 2 cups. One cup glowed with golden light. The other was dark, full of thick black liquid. Above them, glowing words appeared. "Only one must drink. One will grow stronger. One will suffer. Choose." Jace frowned. "Is this real?" Sarah nodded. "It wants to know what we are willing to give up." She reached for the dark cup, but Jace grabbed her wrist. "No. You're the queen. They need you. And I need you," she said. They looked at each other. Then, together, they lifted both cups. They drank. A flash of light filled the room. But there was no pain. Only warmth. A new message appeared above them. "You chose to share the cost. The throne remembers." Sarah touched Jace's shoulder. "You couldn't have done this alone," she said. Jace smiled. "Good thing I brought food that day, huh?" She laughed softly. Then Tarn's voice crackled through a communicator. "They're breaking through. You must return to the surface now." Sarah's smile faded. "Trial or not," she said firmly, "this queen will fight." And beside her, the boy the galaxy once mocked clenched his fists and whispered, "Let them come." Virac 9 was no longer silent. It sang, not with music but with change. Crowds gathered in every street. Workers left their machines. Children climbed rooftops to see what no one thought possible. The queen, long thought dead, had returned, and beside her was a human, boy with a glowing mark. Jace. The name spread like lightning. Some cheered, some prayed, some still feared, but all of them watched. Inside the heart of the ruined palace, beneath towers cracked by war, Jace stood with Sarah in the glow of the Star Throne, an ancient seat made of crystal, light, and memory. It floated gently above the ground, humming, like a heartbeat. Sarah wore royal armor now, simple but strong. Her eyes shone with golden fire. "You ready?" she asked. Jace looked at his glowing wrist, then nodded. "Let's finish what we started." Beside them, Tarn leaned on his cane. His body was bruised, but his voice was steady. "The Empire is coming, and they're bringing Koresh." Jace frowned. "He's still alive?" "Barely," Tarn replied. "But his hate burned stronger than his wounds." Sarah stepped forward. "We don't fight for revenge. We fight for truth, for the people." She raised her staff. Light burst from the throne and echoed through the halls. Far above, the sky cracked as Empire warships descended through the clouds. The final battle had begun. In the city streets, the people stood frozen as the sky filled with black ships. Giant hunter drones hovered like birds of prey. Loudspeakers blared, "Return to homes. The rebellion is over. The false queen is a threat." But no one moved. Instead, someone raised a hand, then another. Then banners, blue with golden flame, rose. From windows, rooftops, and towers, the people didn't run. They stood and waited. The first explosion hit the eastern wall of the palace. Boom. Dust flew. The ground shook. Jace looked at Sarah. "They're here." "We hold the throne," she said. Suddenly, the great doors burst open. General Koresh walked through the smoke. His armor cracked from their last fight. Red lights glowed on his chest plate. His sword was long, glowing with dark plasma. "I told them you were weak," he said. "Now I'll show them why." Sarah didn't speak. Koresh looked at Jace. "And you, little rat? Still hiding behind her skirts?" Jace stepped forward. "Not hiding, standing with her." Koresh laughed. "Then you'll fall with her." The fight was fast, loud, brutal. Sarah moved like light, her staff spinning, her power glowing in arcs of gold. Koresh struck like thunder, his blade slicing through stone. They clashed again and again, sparks flew, walls cracked, the air itself shook. Jace pulled Tarn to safety behind a fallen statue. "She can't do this alone," Jace said. Tarn opened a metal case. Inside was a sword, glowing faintly, shaped like a flame. "She's not alone," Tarn said. "The throne chose you, too." Jace took the sword. It hummed in his hand. Then he ran into the battle. Koresh swung at Sarah, pushing her back. He raised his sword to strike Mice, but Jace leaped forward and blocked the blow. The two weapons met. The sound rang like a bell. Koresh's eyes widened. "You dare stand against me?" "I dared defeat her when she was nothing," Jace said. "I dare to fight for her now." Together he and Sarah fought side by side, queen and protector. Her staff lit the room with golden arcs. His sword cut through the shadow. They moved like one. Outside, the city erupted. People filled the streets. Workers threw down tools and picked up old weapons. Rebels waved flags. Alien children banged on drums made from scrap. And then the people rose. They stormed the outposts, disabled drones, shut down speakers. A child climbed a tower and painted the words, "Long live the Queen." Back in the throne room, Koresh fell to one knee. His armor was shattered, his blade broke in half. Sarah raised her staff. He looked up, breathing. "Hard, do it," he spat. "End it." But she lowered her weapon. "I won't become you," she said. "The throne doesn't remember hate. It remembers mercy." She turned away. Koresh roared and leapt with a dagger. But Tarn, with his last strength, fired one final shot. The blade fell. So did Koresh. Silence. The throne lit up. Symbols filled the air. Then one word glowed above them. Balance. Jay stood beside Sarah as the light surrounded them. "It's over," he said. She nodded. "For the old empire, yes. And for us?" Sarah smiled. "For us, it's just beginning." 1 week later, the city was alive again. Flags waved, music filled the air. People danced in the streets, no soldiers, no fear, just freedom. Sarah stood on the royal balcony wearing a simple white cloak with a golden flame. Jay stood beside her, no longer a street rat, but now wearing royal armor of his own. Not a king, not a noble, just someone who stood when it mattered. Sarah raised her voice. "I was a queen in name only. Then I lost everything. Power, pride, hope. I walked the streets with no name. I was forgotten." She turned to Jace. "And one boy gave me bread." The crowd went quiet. "He gave me kindness. And through him, I remembered who I was." She raised her hand to the sky. "Today, I name him not just my protector, but protector of all who are forgotten, of all who are small, of all who are brave." Jace stepped forward, face red. He scratched the back of his neck. "Do I still get free food?" he asked. The crowd roared with laughter, and then they cheered. In a quiet part of the palace, a statue was placed. It showed a boy offering bread to a woman in rags. The plaque read, "Where kindness began." Beneath it, "Never forget what one human act of kindness can change." Far away, in a cold space station, the Emperor's remaining forces watched the broadcast. One officer whispered, "What do we do now?" The general stared at the screen, at the boy, at the queen, at the throne glowing behind them. "We remember," he said, "and we pray she never forgets." Back in Verac 9, the sky was blue for the first time in years. Children played in the streets. Music played from rooftops, and at the center of it all, a queen walked beside a human. The throne remembered, and the galaxy would never be the same again.